Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire.
Welcome back, Heat Seekers. It's the Dynasty Heat Seekers podcast and live stream, and today we have some Dynasty buy lows and sell highs for all of you, so you can start adjusting those rosters depending on whether you are competing or maybe you are starting that rebuild. Either way, you got to start making some moves here 4 weeks into the season to accommodate whichever way you are trying to go with your team. And Anthony and Jason are here to help me throw out some ideas of some guys you could target or guys you should be moving depending on where you're at in your leagues. But first, Anthony, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. I was off last week. Glad to be back, and happy to help people out with these buy lows and sell highs.
Awesome. Jason, how about you?
Doing great. Good to have you back, Anthony.
So overall,
Thanks,
Jason, with your dynasty leagues, how are they going right now? Are you competing in most of them? You looking at some rebuilds? How you doing in 2020? Weird season so far.
Yeah, with the COVID year, I joined about probably 10 different dynasty leagues, so I'm up and down here and there. That's how it's going to go with all those different leagues, but I feel my teams are pretty good, but just the luck of the COVID and the injuries and everything, it's kind of set me back here and there, but I'm still pretty positive about what I can do with my teams. How about you guys?
Anthony, what do you got to say about your dynasty teams?
It's been kind of 500-ish for the most part. In the 96 that we have, I'm doing really well. I think I'm in second place there, so I'm happy about that. But overall, I had a great week, even though with all the COVID and stuff this past week, I had a great week. I won almost every game I had, so feeling pretty good about that. How about you, Rick?
So Jason and I talked last week about the differences between your 0-3 team might be better than it really is. You may just ran into some bad luck, and then your 3-0 team may not be as good, but you may have ran into some good luck. Well, my 0-3 team that I had scored the most points for any team that lost each of the first 3 weeks decided to just do it again in week 4. So I'm 0-4 there. I think I have the 5th highest amount of points in the league. And I'm sitting in 12th place right now and have had the highest losing score each of the first 4 weeks of the season. So that's real fun. But I guess the benefit is I'm scoring a bunch of points, and it looks like I'm going to be adding a nice draft pick to the whole thing here, because at some point I'm going to quit scoring as many points as I've had so far, and I'm probably going to lose some of those weeks too. Maybe I can add maybe a Trevor Lawrence or something in a super flex and be in a good spot going into next year. But for this year, it's not looking so hot. But everywhere else, I've got some other teams that are looking pretty good right now, and hopefully that continues for those. And then I've got some other ones where I'm going to have to start making some of these moves that we're talking about today. With as many leagues as I'm in, I think I've got 18 or 20 dynasty leagues. You're gonna have some that are doing well, some that aren't, but the weird thing is that I've had good luck dodging these major injuries. I haven't had a lot of those because I just happen to not have a lot of those players. Not that I don't want some of them, the CMCs and the Barkleys, but the bad luck for me is just coming in with my weekly matchups, and the person against me just decides to go ham that week. I've lost some matches in week 1 where I had Devontae Adams who went nuts. I had some this week where I had Joe Mixon that went nuts. It's just, that's fantasy football, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But why don't you kick off this this news and notes? But before that, I just want to remind everybody, we love having you here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, notification bell, and smash the like button on this video. That helps us out a ton. And if you if you enjoy the content and want to help us out, that's an easy way to do it. So what's the first bit of news you've got for us, Anthony?
Well, yeah, I mean, what a week it was, man, with COVID and not knowing if games were going to play and contingencies and Cam Newton coming down with COVID, Tennessee and Pittsburgh having to postpone their game to week 7. I just wanted to just have a sigh of relief. Thank God week 4 is just done with, and just let's hope things are better going forward. Relating to all this, I know Rick, in your main leagues, with Roto Heat, you threw out there the contingency plan for the leagues across the board. I wanted to know, how did that go, and can you maybe briefly describe it so if other people are watching, they can maybe have an idea of what they should do in their own leagues?
So what we did was, for the people that don't know, for Roto Heat, I run 10 different Roto Heat leagues, and they range from leagues that have 12 people in them to leagues that have 8 divisions of 12 teams in them for 96 total. So overall, we've got a little over 400 franchises in the 10 leagues. And my thought process on this whole situation was that if you have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, any of those guys in that game between New England and Kansas City, you should not have to worry about either taking zeros because you kept them in your lineup, or taking them out of your lineup and then them putting up the numbers that those guys can put up on a week-to-week basis. That puts that owner at a huge disadvantage because of a scenario that none of us can control. So I looked at it like, what can I control to help the owners of the Roto Heat leagues and to make it as fair as possible? And I understand we have injuries, right? We have late game injuries. We have guys that tweak a hammy in warm-ups. That everybody's on a level playing field for that, right? It can happen to any player on any given week. But this COVID stuff, it can happen to a player that isn't COVID positive, right? Because if this game gets canceled because practice squad players have COVID, then that's not the same, right? If Will Fuller pulls his hammy in pregame, the Houston Texans don't cancel their game, and you don't lose.
Don't jinx Fuller though. Hold on, I have a Fuller on other teams right now. I got to slow down
but
there.
I'm just saying, right? It doesn't affect the entire team or the opposing team. So it was a different scenario. So what I did was, with both teams having positive tests, I felt like if we looked at it as a 50-50 chance, it may have been leaning just a little bit more towards the game being canceled, right? So I said, take your Kansas City and New England players out of your lineup, put in backup players, and then post to the league chats your replacement player and who you want in from the New England Kansas City game. And then no matter what, once that game starts, I'm going to replace those players with the players in that game. You can't say, for an example, Traquan Smith was one that was a big. Well, actually, Robert Tanyan was one that was in a lot of lineups where they used him as the replacement player. You can't take, Traquan Smith's 2 touchdowns and keep him in your lineup and then switch it out later for a different substitute. Like, it happens no matter what. Those are your starters if you name them your starters. So I ended up having to do that, and for all the leagues, it took me the first half of that game to get all of the swaps made. It wasn't like, I seen a lot of commissioners on Twitter like, I'm not starting that because of the amount of work it's going to take. Like, it's not that hard to swap them out if you've got them and you organize the whole thing. And if I can do it with 400 franchises, somebody can do it with 12. Like, it's not. It does suck. Like, I don't want to do it, but it's what's most fair for everybody.
Yeah, it's funny too because in the 96er, I said, okay, start Fuller if if Tyreek Hill plays, play Tyreek Hill. And then Fuller goes off. I'm like, oh shit, I should have just started Fuller.
I had the same one with Fuller and Tyreek swapping him out in one other league, and then I also had one with Emmanuel Sanders and Tyreek Hill, and both of those guys put up decent numbers, and I'm kind of like, in my situation, I kind of just rather keep those 16 points with Tyreek versus New England.
I mean, I don't want to hope someone gets COVID, but I kind of want this game to get canceled now.
You know? Did you get any pushback at all from anyone?
Everything went as smooth as possible. I mean, obviously, with as many people as we had putting in their changes, there was some communication that didn't go perfect, but you know, nobody tried gaming the system. I would check, like, there were people that, you know, come Sunday morning before game time where it looked like there was a great chance the game was going to be played, that they changed their mind and they just put in their players, right? And Jason, you were one of those that just put in the players, which I didn't recommend. I didn't want people to do that because if somebody tested positive Monday morning, it could have screwed you. So I didn't really want people doing that, but I had some where, you know, other players were ruled out, like Sony Michel, right? Nobody knew he was going to be ruled out on Monday night, even though they played, and it kind of created a little bit of a scenario where it looked like people may have been trying to game, but when I went back and looked at when their lineup was submitted, it was submitted before other guys had played and everything, so it went as well as possible for as much as we got going on. But I got great guys, you know, running most of the divisions in the 96 team leagues. Each division has a division captain. Most of those guys did real well at getting those swaps and everything together. So I don't want to spend too much time on this.
Awesome.
It definitely wasn't as much work as I was worried about. And I think everybody was happy with the way that it played out, even though some people that had Robert Tanyan in their lineup probably wish Robert Tanyan was still in their lineup when it was all said and done, because he was probably the most popular swap for Kelsey, which probably didn't even need to be on there because obviously Kelsey was playing before, so you could have switched them out, you know, afterwards anyways, and he ended up playing later. But they're probably wishing, oh man, I wish that game would have got canceled so I could have got that 40 burger from Robert Tanyan.
Well, this is one of my news and notes. Let's just talk about it now. Robert Tanyan. I mean, I think it's so noteworthy we have to just talk about it because, I mean, he exploded. He almost had 100 yards receiving, 6 catches, 3 touchdowns. I mean, I think it's legit. You know, Adams will be back. I got it. But with Lazard out indefinitely, I really think Tanyan has a place here in this offense. What do you think about that, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, who needs a receiver in the first round when Aaron Rodgers can throw darts to the guy's numbers and they have no choice but to catch the ball? I mean, the guy throws an awesome ball. Yeah, I think he's legit for sure. He's going to make their players, and he's turned Lazard into something, and now he's going to turn Tanyan into something. So why not?
I've been a fan of Tanyan for over a year now. He showed out a couple times early in last season, but they never really utilized the tight end, and that was the only thing that kept me off. But when everybody else was on the Sternberger train, I was like, dude, this Robert Tanyan dude is athletic. He moves really, really well, and if he ever becomes a guy that gets targeted a lot, I think he's a big play threat. And we've seen it now 3 weeks in a row. I think it's 3 weeks in a row he's found the end zone. Last night 3 times. And the dude's working out with George Kittle. I mean, if you want your tight end working out with anybody, who is it? It's George Kittle or Travis Kelce, and you know, they've become buddies. And as a Hoosier, Tanyan is a converted quarterback at Indiana State and turned into a tight end there and ended up becoming one of their leading receivers of all time. So me being from the Hoosier State, I want to root for the kid, but he also plays for the Packers, so he can kind of go screw himself.
Yeah, I concur.
What else we got on news and notes? Let's get through this stuff so we can get to the meat.
Yeah, a couple of big injuries. I just want to talk about their backups. So Austin Eckler out 4 to 6 weeks. Nick Chubb the same. Different injuries. For Eckler, it's a hamstring, pretty serious hamstring injury. For Chubb, it's an MCL injury. Not as serious as it could have been, but still MCL. Again, both looking at around 4 to 6 weeks. Joshua Kelly, Justin Jackson for the Chargers, and then Ernest Johnson or Dontrell Hilliard. I guess. What do you guys think is the good play here? If either one of these guys are on the waiver wire, maybe I guess Jackson might be. Dearness Johnson probably is. Hilliard probably is. What do you guys think about fab for these guys? How much are we looking to spend? Personally, I'd throw 10%, 20%, maybe a little bit more for Jackson because I think he has more of a long-term chance. What do you think, Rick?
I think I'm going with the team that wants to run the ball a lot, and I think is underrated and starting to show that. They had a really bad week one against a really good Baltimore defense, but since then they've played pretty well. And I think Ernest Johnson is the guy that's going to get the carries. He's the guy that's guaranteed work out of him and Hilliard. Hilliard has always been more of kind of a PPR back. He got a little love after Duke Johnson left a couple of years ago. But I mean, in Dynasty, you just don't find very many guys that can be a starter in your lineup on the waiver wire throughout the year. And I'd be willing for any of these guys if you need depth at that position. I mean, I'm talking out of Justin Jackson, if he is on the waivers, or Dernis Johnson. I would spend 50% on it. I mean, it's unlikely you're going to get a guy.
Oh, wow.
It's unlikely you're going to get a guy that's going to get that much work any other time during the season. Now, maybe in 2020 it's a little bit different because of COVID and everything else, and all the soft tissue issues that we're having in the NFL right now. But I think Dernis Johnson for 4 to 6 weeks is probably going to get close to 15 carries a game. That's for your waiver wire budget in Dynasty, that's a pretty good helper if you need help at running back in a Dynasty league this year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah, Johnson, why not spend the money on him? If he's out there, then go for it. In most leagues, he probably is out there. And then Justin Jackson's probably already taken. But, I mean, hey, someone might have dropped him early and given up on the guy. So he's pretty athletic back, too. So why not go after these athletic backs that can produce value for you and potentially be a flex play for you? Maybe even an RB2.
And let's not forget, with Dernis Johnson, I mean, Kareem Hunt was...
Yeah, I'm good with
Kareem Hunt had some injuries leading up to last week where it wasn't 100% that he was even going to play. And, Browns are proving it this year that Hunt and Chubb are both elite running backs. Like, Kareem Hunt would be the starter on probably 90% of the rest of the teams in the NFL. He's that good. We're going to get to see him shine here for 4 to 6 weeks, but if he doesn't stay healthy, Dernis Johnson is in a huge role, like a huge role for a team that wants to run the ball.
Yeah, I think we're overlooking Kelly a little bit because we're assuming Kelly's rostered. Of all these guys, I think Kelly's the biggest beneficiary. I know preseason we kind of debated Kelly and Justin Jackson. At this point, without Eckler, I think their roles are pretty well defined. But I can hop on board, blowing like 50% fab for Dearness Johnson, especially if you need a running back. And who doesn't right now? I think that's a good call. So I'm on board.
Yeah, I think it would be a little bit different if we were looking at this waiver like in a redraft sense, where there's a good chance that Kelly, Jackson, and Dernis Johnson were all on the waiver wires, right? But in Dynasty, with deeper rosters and taxi squads, Dernis Johnson is probably on a lot of rosters, but the chance of two of these three guys being on the waivers this week is slim. And the chance of getting a guy even later down the road to get you 15 carries for, half your fantasy season is slim to none, right? I mean, obviously, because in 3 weeks we're out of, nobody's going to be able to help you for half the season because half the season's going to be over.
Yeah.
So the last news and notes is one Mr. Bill O'Brien finally getting canned, and it was kind of funny because I actually posted in our team chat like an hour before the news came out about how it's unbelievable that this dude traded their first and second pick. He traded Clowney, he traded Hopkins, didn't get a first round pick back for either of those, and then starts 0-4. And then like an hour later, it's like the dude's fired, and you made it. After the trade, you made a TikTok on Bill O'Brien. All I can say is that this team can't go anywhere but up from here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think he was kind of weighting him down. Gase is the same in New York, for the Jets. So yeah, I agree 100%. And maybe they rally around the situation and come together as a team. And we don't know what was going on in that locker room. We don't know if everyone hated him as much as the fantasy community kind of hated him. So I guess we'll kind of see what happens. But yeah, I think it's going to go up from here. What do you think, Jason?
I think you should let Deshaun Watson run the team for the rest of the year. I mean, Romeo Crennel is coming in. He's going to be the coach.
The oldest coach,
yeah, I mean,
the oldest head coach in NFL history now, 73 years old.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah, let Deshaun do what he does and see what he can do. And then, pretty much put the ball in his hands. And I think for next year, let him pick the players, Kind of like what the Chiefs did with Mahomes. They said, "Who do you want?" It's like, "Hey, who do you want for next year?" Maybe, they'll get a running back or, wide receiver like Jamar Chase.
All right, let's get into the main segment here, but I just want to let everybody know, and we actually had somebody ask on YouTube if we answer questions. We do. Drop those in the chat, and after the main segment, we do go through and answer viewer questions. We're going to get into the buy lows first. And Anthony, or Jason, you are first up. Why don't you go ahead and get us right into that first player?
Yeah, I got Baker Mayfield from the Cleveland Browns. The loss of Chubb really hurts. I think it's going to increase the pass attempts for sure. OBJ had a big breakout game last game, and Landry even threw a touchdown to him. So I think he had Landry has a total of 19 targets this year, and I think we're going to see an uptick in work. He started out the year hurt, so they kind of been easing him in. And then they're going to get David Njoku back, and then Austin Hooper's been eased in as well. For playoffs coming up for Week 14, they got Baltimore, but then they got Giants and Jets. So I think he's a potential league-winning quarterback. What do you think, Anthony?
Well, I like the schedule at the end of the season. I'm just a little worried they're going to be. I mean, I said it before. I'll buy anyone at the right price, but I don't think Baker is someone that I'm really going to go out and target unless I really need a quarterback and I can get him at the right price. Because I don't think last week is a sign of what's going to happen. I just think that's, hey, we played the Dallas Cowboys, So I mean, I don't. I'm not too confident that it's going to really come together through the air. I think they're going to continue to rush the ball and be successful at it. What do you think, Rick?
I don't think people realize that Baker Mayfield has actually been good outside of Week 1. It's just, as Jason said, volume. Now, the thing I worry about with the Jets and Giants and during playoff weeks is that if Chubb's back, those are games where Mayfield might only throw the ball 20 times because they run the ball so much. I talked about it Sunday morning, though, that this was a great week for Baker Mayfield and OBJ because I figured the game would be at least close, but they could be trailing, right, because of the Dallas offense. I didn't see them putting just an absolute whooping on the Cowboys. But, the same thing happened in that game. Mayfield was doing real well, but they got up 41-21 or whatever it was, and then it was just let's run the ball. I mean, even OBJ had a 73-yard run or something, or 50-yard run or whatever it was. But he had like 70-some yards rushing, I think, in that game. But that just proves to me, everybody that's been on OBJ, like, this dude is legitimately one of the top 5 most talented wide receivers We just need the Browns to be trailing more and not playing against the stud defense like the Baltimore Ravens. Like you've seen what Mahomes did to the Ravens. That's not indicative of how good the Ravens defense is. They're good.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm like 50-50. I think that Mayfield is more talented and he's playing better than people give him credit for. I just don't know that the volume's going to be there. And those matchups are so bad that I don't know that it's a positive for Mayfield when Chubb
Based
and
on
Hunt
games.
can just run all over them. That would be my worry in those games. But I think he's worth taking a shot on because people are still really, really low on him.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Anthony, you got one on here that I didn't see coming.
Really? All right. Well, this is the perfect buy window for Tyler Johnson, wide receiver, Tampa Bay. He hasn't done anything this year. That's okay. He's a rookie. They play on Thursday now. The last 2 days when they've had practice, Evans hasn't practiced. Godwin hasn't practiced. Scotty Miller hasn't practiced. Justin Watson hasn't practiced. All these guys are banged up, and I do believe we're going to see some action from Tyler Johnson. And if he is going to break out and show what he can do and have his value go up, it's going to be this Thursday. So if you can buy him now, this is the time to buy him now because he's so cheap right now. He's so cheap right now that this is the perfect time to do it. His last 2 years in college, he had 2,500 yards, 25 touchdowns. He's a stud. He plays from the slot. Godwin's a free agent, so next year there's no reason why he can't move into that role. And I just think right now he's so cheap, you can get him for like a fourth-round pick. I just think now's the time to do it before Thursday because if he comes out and shows up pretty well, his price will automatically shoot up to a third or a second just like that. What do you think? Rick, I saw you shaking your head.
Because this Thursday is not the day that he's going to break out, okay? The Bears' offense is terrible. I'm a big Bears fan, but they are not giving up anything to wide receivers. Outside of a blown coverage to Calvin Ridley in week 3, they had one to T.Y. Hilton, but Jalen Johnson, the rookie cornerback, is shutting people down. Fuller shutting people down on the opposite side. And they're just not giving up anything in the passing game. And Tom Brady has not looked very good so far. I'm not confident.
5 touchdowns.
I don't care. Look at the game. Look at the way that they're playing. He's not tearing up the Bears defense, and Johnson is not breaking out on Thursday night. I would put money on that. But that doesn't mean that he's not a buy, right? He is cheap. It's just not going to be this week that you see it come through. The only other thing for me is that this dude is 5th on their team at best, and Godwin's not
right
going
now.
Anywhere.
Yeah,
Godwin's not. I don't think Godwin's going anywhere. I think he's going to be back. I think he's going to be a bug for a long time.
I don't know about that.
And I mean, wasn't this dude released at one point after being drafted by them? Wasn't he released and then picked back up?
No, I don't believe
Pretty
so.
sure that he was, or he was sent to taxi, or,
I don't think so.
Practice squad or something. But yeah, I mean, you got Watson ahead of him, Miller ahead of him,
so.
Godwin. Cameron Breit is the guy that I would be looking at to break out this week. Jason.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I love the pick, Anthony, for sure, for the long term. Yeah, I don't know about for this upcoming week against the Bears, but Gronk is out too, and like you said, Rick, Cameron Brate's probably the guy to target. But yeah, Tyler Johnson, he was one of the most productive receivers the past 2 years in college football. He lacks a lot of speed, but he's a very smart football player, and he's really good in the red zone, and he's a slot receiver, which Tom Brady loves. So I like the option there, but I don't think Godwin's going to be gone by any means necessary. He's still a legit player, and they're going to want to retain him. And you got Mike Evans, so hopefully those guys can come back. But Yeah, I like Tyler Johnson for the long term, and I'm really banking on that for
I
sure.
love how Anthony hates when people don't agree with him. He just sits there with a disgusted look on his face,
The
Yeah,
shaking
grin.
his head.
I just don't know. I don't know how they're going to be able to afford, Evans and
Even
Godwin. He's going
even
to want
if
so much
not,
money. I mean, if
he's still like
I think they have a ton of cap.
number 4 on their team. Like Watson and Miller are cheap; they're ahead of him. OJ Howard was ahead of him and easily ahead of him. I just don't see how he moves up far enough on this team with as many wide receivers, even if one of Evans and Godwin leaves, to have relevance anytime
well,
soon.
I mean, I'm not starting Johnson on Thursday, and I hope I didn't come across and say that. I just say if he's gonna have an opportunity, it's gonna be this week with how many injuries they have. That's what I'm saying. And if he does make a couple good plays, his price is gonna jump up crazy from where it is right
But
now. So that's why I just think if you have the roster spot and you can get him right now, get him before that happens. That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
I'm just saying that even after that, it's gonna go back down because he's gonna go back to being the non-existent player once everybody's healthy. And you know how people are; they will overreact. I would say if you've got him and he does do anything this week, sell him, and then you can get him in other leagues cheaper 3 weeks down the road when everybody's back healthy and he's back to being nobody. Um,
Well, I'm okay with that too.
um,
I'm okay with that too. I feel
people are
that.
going to be disgusted and they're probably gonna talk shit. About a week ago, I made a post about Joe Mixon and how it was time to buy Joe Mixon, and people gave me a bunch of shit. This week it's Kenyan Drake.
Yeah.
This week it's Kenyan Drake, and there's a reason why, and it's the same reason why Joe Mixon was a buy. This this Arizona offense is struggling, and what they're doing on offense, it hurts Kenyan Drake. I think at one point I posted that Hopkins had 7 receptions for like 30 yards. Everything is horizontal on this team right now. It's so close to the line of scrimmage that the whole game's happening at the line of scrimmage. Their passing is terrible. Kyler Murray is like, for guys with more than 20 pass attempts, he's like last in yards per attempt. The other guys on that list are Carson Wentz, who's been horrible this year. Daniel Jones, who this is the same reason why Saquon was struggling before he got hurt. Joe Burrow was the only other guy that was up there. But what did they do in week 4? They got Joe Mixon involved and started moving the ball further down the field. He had his highest yards per attempt. He only completed 25 passes, which was the third most, but he completed them for like you know a much higher average than he had done in the first 3 weeks. So this is what Arizona needs to do. They need to start getting down the field, and that's going to open stuff up for Kenyan Drake. Now, the only thing that could hurt is that he's not getting worked in the passing game as much as you would like. But neither was Joe Mixon going into last week. But that opened up everything for Cincinnati. We've seen Cincinnati get their first win. If Arizona's smart, they'll go the same route and get Kenyan Drake more involved. When he's not being inefficient. He was inefficient in this past game, but literally everything happened at the line of scrimmage. I think he completed. I can't even remember. I got it pulled up here. Let me pull it up. They completed. Let me get back to Kyler Murray. He completed 24 passes for 133 yards. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. How many yards did he rush?
He
in
had
that game?
78 yards rushing. Everything happened at the line of scrimmage. There's no room for the running backs to have success there because if a team's not afraid of you going down the field, that hurts that whole game. There's no openings in that area for the running back to work in. But in the other games, Kenyan Drake has been efficient running the ball. The touchdowns haven't been there like they were last year when he came over to Arizona, and the passing work is down a little bit. But I think for them to open that offense up, they have to get Kenyan Drake involved in there and move Hopkins down the freaking field. Like Hopkins, his averages on his receptions this year are nuts. He's a better wide receiver than that, and he can open up that entire offense. And right now they're just horizontal. So Kenyan Drake, right now people are completely off. You can get him super cheap, and I think for the rest of the year, Kenyan Drake is going to be better than he has been in the first 4 weeks. This Arizona offense has to get better. I mean, they've just lost 2 games to the Lions and Panthers, who were considered 2 of the worst teams in the NFL. And I think we know that Arizona's got more talent on offense than what they've shown in those 2 weeks. And
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You're like doubling down here on Drake. You know, you're really big on him preseason. I'm a little more worried than you are, to be honest. I mean, I understand buy low, and I'm like I said, I'll buy anyone at the right price, but I have to stop saying that. But but it doesn't change the fact that think back to last year. Kenyan Drake, he had time. He disappeared, and that's what's happening right now. I mean, he's gone. Edmonds has a chance to be to I don't want to say the guy, but to be the more fantasy productive guy, and that's why I'm a little more hesitant. I don't think that it's gonna happen. With Mixon, I can see slow start to the year. Same thing happened last year. There have been times where Kenyan Drake has just disappeared. He did it last year, and he didn't do it during the fantasy playoffs, so everyone was happy about that. But there have been times where he just disappeared. I'm not as confident that they're gonna, utilize him in the way you're suggesting that they will, Rick. And that's why I'm kind of, if I don't own him right now, I'm kind of happy. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if you agree with that, Jason or Rick, if you want to respond to that.
Yeah, I think the expectations were very high coming into the year. He hasn't lived up to them at all, really, so far. But I think a lot of it has to do with offensive line play, and they just haven't been getting a good push, and they aren't protecting Kyler, and even Kyler's scrambling around to make a play. But their upcoming matchups, they got Jets, Dallas, and Seattle, who have all been giving up a ton of points. So I see him turning it around big time, and then being a producer and helping you win a championship.
yeah, I'll just say, like he's been efficient on his touches overall this year. It hasn't been him. It's been this offense. This offense is in shambles right now. Like that display against a terrible Panthers defense was horrible. And it wasn't until later in the game where he started ripping off a couple 7, 8 yard runs to even make his numbers look better than they were. But they have to start getting the ball down the field. That's going to help everybody. Even you, those that are happy with Hopkins right now, just imagine if they started going down the field with Hopkins a little bit. I mean,
Right.
it's just that whole offense is in shambles right now. Jason, next player.
Yeah, we got O.J. Howard, another Tampa Bay player. He tore his Achilles to end his 2020 season, but they did pick up his fifth-year contract option, so they'll have him for next year. And then Gronk is a free agent, so you never know with Gronk. I mean, Brady loves Gronk. They might still bring him back, but I think for O.J. Howard, he's a great buy right now because people are really down on him. They're going to put him on the bench or even the IR, which is an opportunity for you to put him on your IR, and then you still free open a spot for you. So I think it's just a great opportunity for a guy that's still really young and he's very athletic, and he's proven to be a good pass catcher and a great blocker as well. So he's going to be on the field when he's healthy. What do you guys think, Anthony?
Yeah, I'm good with the call. I think it's a good person to target. So many people are down on him right now, and like you said, you stash him on your IR. You have him next year. Hopefully, he's ready at the start of the season. Sometimes Achilles can take a little bit longer, to kind of get back to where they were at. But yeah, assuming he's good next year, I think it's a good target. I think you can get him very cheap, even in a tight end premium league. I bet you get him pretty cheap right now. So yeah, I think it's a great. I think it's a great call. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with any of it except for if Breit and Brady become, you know, pals here the rest of the season.
BFF.
That could hurt, but um, OJ has been very inconsistent his entire career because of his blocking ability. I've said it a million times on this stream and podcast. I don't want my tight end to be a good blocker. We see it with Hawkinson in Detroit. Very elite as a pass catcher, but very good blocker. They give up that type of draft capital on you. They're going to use you at the way that best helps the team. And with as many options around Buccaneers offense, we already talked about him. That'd be my only concern with him. He is uber talented. He could be one of the best pass catching tight ends in the league, but he has to forget how to block before that's going to happen. Anthony.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. All right, my next buy low, Myles Gaskin, Miami running back. And I know some people might be thinking, well, this guy is already kind of high. Well, I think he's going to get higher. And I think this is the right time to buy him. He didn't have a great game last week, but he was still involved. He's really taken over this backfield. He's averaging 4 yards, and he has 18 catches already through 4 games. So he's getting the points. And if he hasn't scored a touchdown yet, but that's kind of why he's a good buy low right now, because he isn't getting those extra added on touchdown points, but he is really heavily involved. So if he does get some more goal line work, if he does get some more touchdown production, you're going to see his value move up pretty high. You know, I think he's a pretty sneaky RB2, and a lot of teams right now especially need running back help, or at least a guy on the bench and I think this is the right time because I do think if he starts getting some more touchdowns, his value is just going to kind of go up to the point where it's not really worth the investment at that point. So I just think he's a good target right now before his value gets even higher. What do you guys think about that? I guess we'll start with Jason on that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good value right now for, he's starting, but I don't like Miami's offense at all right now. But like you said, he's a starter and he's putting up points and he's producing. But overall, I think he's got PPR value, but he's not a workhorse back. That's the thing that scares me and throws me off on him. I'm expecting the Dolphins to bring in a running back next year to help Tua, who's going to be the starter. So he's going to need someone that's either, they're going to draft someone or they're going to probably bring in a veteran that they're going to sign. So I think Myles Gaskin is going to be put on the back burner, but I like his value right now, and why not go get him? He can produce for you. What do you think, Rick?
It's going to be completely price dependent for me because I want the one thing, and this is why Drake was a buy for me, is because there's a lot of touchdown potential with Drake in that offense if that offense gets moving, right? I don't see that with the Dolphins at this time, and I don't see Gaskin as a talent that is going to be the entire offense at running back. So that always kind of worries me there. So it's going to be very price dependent. I think he can help you in PPR leagues. I think if it's a standard league, then he's a complete stay away. But there's just not a lot of touchdown upside. I mean, let's think about this, right? How many weeks since the middle of last year when Fitzpatrick took over has he led that team in rushing? It's been more than once. I think just this past week it happened, where Ryan Fitzpatrick was the leading rusher on that team. It's just I'll stay away from that backfield. I've been staying away from it all year. And
you said the same thing about Drake though, and Kyler Murray.
Ryan, no. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not Kyler Murray. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not supposed to lead your team in rushing. That's not supposed to happen, right? It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as Lamar Jackson leading your team in rushing. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick. The beard. He's not supposed to lead your team in rushing. No way. Okay, my last guy is Saquon Barkley. I've been seeing this 2 years in a row. The guy's had injuries. He's out for the rest of the year. I've seen trades that have boggled my mind. One of them was it was James Robinson and like another like wide receiver, like back end wide receiver 2. That's just not enough for this talent. And I understand the 19 for 34 yards he had on carries before the injury, the Giants being bad. he's not going to be there the rest of the year, right? And this team, they have to know that offensive line is a priority going into next year. And that's their priority, right? Is offensive line and defense. And protecting their number 6 overall pick. And what was Barkley? 3? Whatever he was. I don't even remember. It was a couple years ago.
Barkley, I think it was 1
Did he go 1 overall? Was it 1?
I think so.
6?
I think because I remember the Giants were a lot of the fans were mad because they wanted to get a quarterback that year.
Did he come out the same year as?
I thought he went 2
Barkley.
or 3. I want to say 3
because Mayfield went 1 that year, right?
Oh yeah. He went 2 then.
Something like that, but whatever it is, I mean, but they've got 2 top 6 picks there that they need to protect, and they're not doing that with that offensive line right now. But, I mean, if you can give up James Robinson, who's in another offense with not a lot of touchdown potential. We've seen Leonard Fournette get 1 billion touches last year and only have 3 touchdowns in that offense. James Robinson will probably have more than that, but he's also a talent that isn't guaranteed to be a long-term running back in that team. If he starts to struggle at all, they could replace him with a draft pick next year. Because they're probably going to have a high second-round draft pick that they could spend on a running back. So I just think that if you can get Barkley for what people are freaking out and overreacting to him not being available, and then thinking or being in contention and you being able to make some moves like that to get him, I think that he's a guy that you can buy now. And, you're not going to be able to use him for the rest of the year, but your draft pick's going to get worse. Are better. Your record's going to be worse, and you're going to add him, and you're going to subtract pieces that are starting for you, and it's going to make your team better for the future because you're going to get a better draft pick, and you're going to have Barkley on your team when he gets healthy. He went second.
Yep.
But Jason, what do you think about Saquon Barkley there? Obviously, he's a good player. None of us are going to argue that, but.
Right, yeah, I like the pick a lot. I think people are just foolish to get rid of the guy. He's 23 years old. I mean, he's a premium IR stash right now for the remaining of the year. He should be a key part to your team that you picked him early or you drafted him really early. Why get rid of him? I don't understand that at all. And these trades for James Robinson and whatever else they're giving for Barkley, or giving away. It's just insane to me. I think his best years are still ahead of him. The price will be way too high though for trading for him because people are just asking a ransom. But if anyone's that's really down on him, why not? Just take whatever you can or give the guy whatever he wants to get Barkley and acquire him because this guy is I think a generational talent and people love to argue that, but this guy is amazing. He's a great football player, and I think he's going to come back even stronger. What do you think, Anthony?
Well, I want to propose a quick question. I'm just curious. I was having this debate with my buddies in one of our group chats. Would you rather have on a dynasty team, and let's just say they're both kind of middle of the road, Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Saquon Barkley?
Saquon,
would you trade?
Easy.
Now,
I take Saquon.
Now I know you took Clyde Edwards-Helaire in that dynasty, Jason. So would you today just straight up trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Barkley? You would?
Well, let's be fair here. Not every team is created equal. If you're in contention this year, you're not making that trade. That's just stupid. Money's more important than having Barkley on your team. If you can win money, that's more important. If you're
right
in the bottom half of the division, if you don't look like a contender, it's a no-brainer to me.
But if you're both just kind of in the middle, I mean, would you say it's pretty close? I mean, I'm just kind of curious. I mean, I don't know.
Saquon Barkley is on another stratosphere talent-wise, in my opinion.
Okay, that's fair.
Jason didn't answer. I butted in there, but I didn't think it was a fair question to ask.
I think it's all circumstantial, but yeah, I mean, if we're talking talent-wise, I go Barkley. Obviously, he's on, offense that's not as good as the Chiefs, but I mean, if you're looking at it, I want Barkley.
Okay.
All right, sell highs. Jason, looks like you're going first on the sell highs too. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Melvin Gordon. He's coming off 25-point day versus the Jets, 2 touchdowns. The Jets couldn't stop him nosebleed if they tried. And then they got Philip Lindsay coming back. I expect a timeshare there. It's a favorable matchup for the playoffs. You got Carolina, but they face Buffalo as well, and then the Chargers. I'd sell to a contender and try to get max value. Maybe you can get like a guy like Hunt, Akers, Dobbins, Chark, Jefferson, or Rager. What do you think, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's going to be kind of situational. With how bad running backs are getting hurt this year, it's hard. It's hard keeping depth. So if you're competing, I think he's someone to hold on to. But certainly, I think it's a good call to sell him if you're kind of middle of the road and can get a pretty decent return. I agree with you. The best of his days are behind him. Lindsay is trending to come back, and especially off that big game he had last week, I think that might be one of his better games of the year. So yeah, I'm on board with the sell advice. What do you think,
I
Rick?
think that even if you're contending, you can trade Melvin Gordon right now and get better for the remainder of the season. I think with Philip Lindsay healthy, Melvin Gordon takes a big dip in the rushing yards. He is going to be the PPR back. He is going to catch the passes, but I don't think he's the best runner on this team. I think Philip Lindsay is the better runner, and I think that's going to hurt him going down the stretch if Lindsay is healthy. I also think that if you're not playing the Jets, Melvin Gordon is a lot less appetizing. The Jets will make a lot of running backs look good. But I think that no matter the situation, if you do it right, you can make your team better going forward. Um, all right. I do want to remind everybody, keep asking those questions. I see them, not ignoring them. We will answer them after we get done with these sell highs. Anthony, you're up next, and this is one of my team's players.
Oh boy. Well, I hope you take my advice then. Jimmy Graham, tight end. I think this is the first. Oh no, we talked about OJ. Jimmy Graham, sell him now. Sell him now. He's a tight end one. He's a top 12 tight end right now. I couldn't believe it when I was pulling up his stats. It's not going to last, guys. He has 3 touchdowns. It's not going to last. Sell him now because this is probably the opening stretch here is the best he's going to be. This is it. Sell now. You're not going to get this opportunity again. He's 34 next month. He's well past his prime. We know this. You watch the Bears game. I mean, he doesn't look that great out there. He just has, it's for those 3 touchdowns. That's what's elevated him now. Find a contending team that needs a tight end. You can probably get a pretty good wide receiver that's on their bench. Maybe you can get, I would take a 3rd round pick for him myself. Especially if he's just an extra tight end on your bench that you don't really need. Now's the time to sell him. Rick, what do you think?
Well,
I know you're a big Bears fan.
The Bears should trade him, and I'd be fine with that. I think he's the perfect type of tight end to keep around on your roster. He's got a lot of touchdown upside in this offense. He's going to be used quite a bit in this offense, especially in the red zone. And it's not a surprise. Outside of Kittle, Kelsey, Andrews, and Waller, nobody else surprises me if they're in the top 12 at tight end. That's just the position. I mean, you can tell me Jordan Akins is in there for the rest of the year, and I'm not going to be like, oh my God, the world's blowing up, right? Jimmy Graham's going to be involved in the red zone. It's just, he is. The tight end is an important part of the Nagy offense, even though the Nagy offense doesn't work. But yeah, I mean, I'll sell any tight end. I mean, if it's one tight end, I will definitely sell any tight end. If it's tight end premium, I just think he's a cheap option. I don't think you're gonna get better at your tight end 2 spot. Like if you're playing, 2 tight end, I don't think you're gonna get better in that spot for what it's gonna cost. I just don't know that you get enough out of him to warrant it for what you're going to get the rest of this year in your lineup if he remains healthy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Jason?
He's just too inconsistent to trust as a starter. Obviously, they drafted Komet in the 2nd round. He's their future. I I foresee him getting a lot more targets as the year goes on. I think they're gonna get Kmet involved. But yeah, Jimmy Graham's a red zone threat, but he's just too inconsistent for me to start and trust. He's kind of like a Kyle Rudolph. He's touchdown dependent in the red zone. But yeah, I mean, if you can get some value for him, why not? If you're out of the playoff race, yeah, go for it and sell him. But if you're a contender, then yeah, maybe hold off and sell him late if it goes to the dumps for you. But yeah, I mean, he doesn't have much left basically, and yeah, try to get max value if you can. But if you're a contender, then hold him and see what you can do with him.
This is a sell high segment, and I don't see fourth round draft picks being selling high on anybody. And I just don't know. I just don't know that people are paying for him enough to get me excited to sell.
Well, you don't want to hold him too long because I mean,
why?
Pretty soon he'll be worth nothing if he's the third, fourth tight end on your bench.
Oh, cool! He just dropped from a fourth rounder to nothing. It's the same thing.
No, I disagree with you. I disagree with that.
Fourth rounder is not worth very much.
You can trade.
I'd want an early third.
But it's not even just.
You're not.
It's a pick though.
Who's paying?
Yeah, whoever's crazy enough to do that. Yeah.
Who's paying that?
You could trade him straight up for someone like Devin Duvernay, Miles Boykin.
Hell no, you're high.
Sure you could.
You're on that Cali weed is burning and coming through your window, boy.
No way.
That is nobody's paying Devin Duvernay for.
I disagree. If there's a contending team that needs a tight end, 100%. Of course they will.
Nobody's paying Devin Duvernay.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you.
No way. All right, Cam Newton's my sell high. Cam Newton. Everybody's all excited about this guy. They don't realize that he ran for 4 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks. The first week, his volume's trash like Baker Mayfield's, but he's not as good as a passer as Baker Mayfield is either, as funny as that is to say. This offense is going to run the ball when they're ahead, and we know that, outside of playing the Chiefs and the Seahawks, who can score on anybody, these games aren't going to be shootouts for Cam Newton to get you a bunch of points. He is going to rush for some yards, but 4 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns in 2 weeks. Lamar Jackson broke all kinds of rushing records last year, and he had 7 for the entire year. We could see 3 to 4 touchdowns on the ground for Cam Newton the rest of the year. I don't know that he's going to throw enough touchdowns to get me excited. I mean, we watched that game. I don't know that their receivers are good enough. I think this team's going to win on the ground, and I think now is a good time to get out from Cam Newton because of just the volume, the lack of passing volume, and the lack of shootout potential when he plays for a Patriots team that is going to hold most offenses at bay. Jason.
Yeah, he's a inconsistent passer, and he doesn't have much weapons around him. I mean, they got N'Keal Harry and Julian Edelman, who aren't performing as well as people would hope. He relies on the rushing, and I think that's going to inevitably get him hurt. The upside thing about him is there's rumors right now that they're talking with the Falcons to get Julio Jones, and I think that's exactly what Cam Newton needs is a playmaker, alpha wide receiver, because they don't really have that right now, and that could really help him. But yeah, this is a run heavy team, but if they get a Julio Jones who can, get back to his ways, I think that'd be huge.
I was gonna say the Falcons don't have that right now either.
Yeah, that's the downfall.
Yeah, that sucks for the Julio owners. 4.4 points in the past 2 weeks.
Oh, better than Ridley. Goose egg. That's crazy,
but
huh?
Ridley gave you a bunch last week at least.
Yeah.
He was like the number 1 receiver. He was the number 1 receiver for 2 of the first 3 weeks. So I think everybody's happy with Ridley despite the egg. But what are your thoughts there on Cam Newton, Anthony?
No, I agree with you guys. I don't have anything against that. I don't think Cam's ever been a very good passer, and we're seeing that now. He doesn't really have anyone to even pass to now, and I do think getting James White back will help improve some of his passing numbers. But even still, I think that if there's an opportunity to sell him, it is now. There is a lot of buzz around him. Although right now he's out, so we'll have to see how that goes with COVID and whatnot. I hope he gets fine. I think he's asymptomatic, but yeah, I agree with you. I think this would be the time to sell him. I agree.
Jason.
Yeah, we got Mike Davis is next. The return of CMC is imminent, and Davis should probably have probably 2 to 4 weeks maybe. It depends on the health of Christian McCaffrey. So you got Mike Davis as their lead back. I think the time is to cash in now. The value is as high as it's ever going to be. I mean, the guy's a PPR back. He can rush. He's a good back, but obviously this team relies on CMC, and they can't wait to get him back. What do you think, Rick?
Well, I don't know. I think it's a little odd. They've won 2 games in a row, right? Is that right?
I believe so. I mean, I know Davis has been kicking ass.
I believe the Panthers have won 2 games in a row after starting 0-2 with CMC, and then without CMC they went 2-0, which is just odd. If I'm remembering correctly, but I do know that they beat the Arizona Cardinals this week, so I agree. I mean, this guy is a zero, but he's another one of those players where I don't know what people are going to give you for him because, I mean, maybe the CMC owner does to protect himself, but you guys know me. I've been saying for a long time, like, handcuffing is one of the dumbest things in fantasy because, yeah, Mike Davis can do this, but you know that he's just wasting a roster spot as long as CMC's playing, and you're not hoping for CMC to get hurt. So I would rather have Mike Davis on teams where I don't have CMC, so that when CMC goes down, I've got an extra back in my lineup. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you can sell him, if somebody will pay, then I think it's definitely something to do to get rid of him. If I'm contending, I'm trying to keep him for the next 2 weeks because he's gonna get that usage, and then try to move him closer to when CMC is getting back, especially to that CMC owner if you can.
Yeah, I agree with everything, Rick, with everything you said. The only thing I'd be a little concerned about is I don't ever want to be helping my opponent. So, for example, if the CMC owner is really hurting right now, he needs someone. Like, no, I'm not going to give him his guy right now. You know what I mean? I'm going to let him keep losing, and I'll hold on to that guy in the meantime. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. Kind of get a feel for the whole league, and play a little bit of 3D chess. But otherwise, I agree with everything that you guys are saying.
I definitely agree with that too. It just depends on where you're at, right? If you got Mike Davis and you're starting him, you might be in a position where you wouldn't win. Like your team's not very good.
Right.
You could be in that position, and at that point, you may want to move him sooner than later because he's actually hurting you because he's a must start right now with CMC out, and you could accidentally win games that you don't want to win if you're in that position. So I think that's definitely something you have to evaluate what situation you're in. But I definitely do think he's a sell no matter what if you can get out from under him and get some value for him because he's not a long-term NFL play. Anthony, this one just makes me smile.
I know this one's easy. I know we're kind of going a little bit back and forth on some of my other picks, but this one's pretty easy. Ronald Jones.
Before you said that, you literally just said I agree with everything you say, Rick, and I was like, that's the first time that's ever happened. But the first time going the other way is going to happen right here.
Oh, okay. Well, Ronald Jones. I'm sorry, but if you're Tampa Bay. Oh, he's our guy. Listen, Tampa Bay. Let's remind everyone. They draft Vaughn. They sign LaShawn McCoy, who's I'm not even sure he's still functioning at this point. They sign Leonard Fournette. Yeah, Rojo's our guy. Sure. Now, last week he did have a good game, and this is why I think he's a good sell because he had over 100 yards rushing. He had 6 catches. He had some bad drops. I don't know if you guys saw. He had some bad drops. And
here, before you keep going, he had 3 drops in the first half. And on the third one, the announcer said, another drop pass by Ronald Jones right in the breadbasket.
Yeah.
They were horrible.
And then who caught a touchdown pass later in the game? Keyshawn Vaughn.
Baby.
Keyshawn Vaughn. So, people are going to look at the stat page, and this is the mistake they make a lot. They say, wow, he had over 100 yards rushing. Wow, he had 6 catches. This is the time to sell Ronald Jones. Fournette's coming back. I believe he's going to take over the backfield. We all thought it was going to happen. It hasn't happened yet. Maybe it has to do with injury. I'm not sure, but I do think it's going to happen. The stat line looks great right now for Ronald Jones. Those catches, he's not going to be involved in the pass. He may not get another pass this year. I mean,
he got targeted 9 times in the first half, once in the second. That work went to Keyshawn Vaughn in the second half. He dropped that third pass, and it was over for him in the passing game. Tom Brady said no more. Tom Brady throws a touchdown pass to Keyshawn Vaughn, and did you see the hug Tom Brady gave him after he scored that touchdown? Oh, it was like Keyshawn Vaughn might be his long lost son or something. It looked like a dad hugging his son after his first touchdown. Like this is not good for Ronald Jones, and there's certain individuals in our community that like to tag me every week that Ronald Jones has a decent game, and you can look at all the box scores you want to look at. If you watch that game, Ronald Jones did not look good. I don't care what the box score says. I don't care that he had 100 yards. This stuff, one thing you have to learn in fantasy is that not everything is created equal, right? Like 11 receptions for DeAndre Hopkins isn't equal to 11 receptions for Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams' 11 receptions are down the field and go for almost 200 yards, while DeAndre Hopkins go for 89 yards. That's not equal. And not to knock Hopkins, but I'm just saying that's not everything is created equal. And Ronald Jones did not look good in that game, especially in the passing game. And if I was a Ronald Jones owner, I would be getting rid of him as fast as possible, because this is going to be, at best, a 3-headed monster in that backfield, because they are just talking up Keyshawn Vaughn here of late. He got a late start and then has been coming on strong lately and looked good in his opportunities in the passing game in that game. And I think that it's just bad news bears from here on out for Ronald Jones owners. Jason?
Yeah, Jason, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, if you lose the trust of Brady, it's going to be hard to get on the field. I don't think Ronald Jones is going to even be on the team next year. I think he's going to be phased out and just not even be used. And the next team, I think he's just going to go downhill from there, to be honest. I don't think he's going to have much of a career after, his run with Tampa Bay here. But we'll see. Yeah, I mean, Leonard Fournette is the workhorse back, and he should take over. I think just the injuries has kind of, lingered, and it should be his backfield. It's just only a matter of time. I mean, he scored 2 touchdowns, and they want to feed him the ball. I think Tom Brady trusts him, and that's a big thing with this offense. Is this offense revolves around Tom Brady? So if you can't get his trust or anything like that, then you're going to be on the sidelines watching, and I think that's what Jones is going to be doing very soon here. And it proved it with the last game with Keyshawn Vaughn coming out there and scoring a touchdown and vulturing, because the guy was brought in the 3rd round, and they want to get him involved as well. So I think everything's pointing down for Ronald Jones, and try to get rid of him and sell high as fast as possible, because he just had one of his better games. So yeah, that's how I feel about that.
All right, so I had a lot of people I went back and forth with on this last sell, and then we're going to answer all your guys' questions. Jerick McKinnon is the guy that I'm selling, though, and that's because this backfield is depleted right now, and he has played well, but you, one, have to worry about him getting injured, because he's never stayed healthy. I mean, this is his 3rd year with the 49ers, and he played his first game this year with them. So that's no big secret. And then Raheem Mostert's going to be involved in this offense when he gets back. I don't know how much Tevin Coleman's going to be involved when they get back, but they've got 4 running backs when they're all healthy that can be involved on any given week. And, the production that he's putting up right now is not going to be sustained with a healthy backfield. And I don't want to risk holding on too long if I'm not in a position to win, to where he blows out a knee and then his value goes back to where it was at the beginning of the season. Because we've seen the highs and lows with Jerick McKinnon, and they are high and they are low. And I want to get out on one of the peaks and just get somewhere else, right? Get that value somewhere else, and yay. Because here's the thing with McKinnon, right? He's been sitting on your bench for 2 years, doing nothing. You've built up your running backs in that time. If Jerick McKinnon is your number one or number two running back right now, your team's in trouble. You can't rely on that. You should have had better running backs in front. Now they might not be producing better at the time, but you know if McKinnon's in your lineup right now, it's likely that you had a bunch of starters or a few starters in front of him. You've got depth at that position with him doing well. You can probably trade him and do yourself some good. Anthony, you're the 49ers fan.
Yeah, earlier today I DM'd a league mate who needs a running back, and I offered him McKinnon. I so I agree. If you're contending, and you need some flex help, I think he's fine to hold on to. I do think he has carved out a role on this team. I do think he'll be the second most involved running back as long as he's healthy. But
Big question,
if you're,
right?
I think the healthy,
Yeah.
that's the question. But otherwise, like Rick said, if he's your starting running back, if he's your first or second best running back, you got more problems. Like, sell him now, build toward the future, and that's what I did on that one team, and that's what I would suggest y'all do if you're in that situation too. What do you think, Jay?
I couldn't agree more with what you guys have said. I mean, that backfield is so hard to predict. They're getting their playmakers back. They got Debo Samuel back, and then Kittle put up a huge game. They funnel through him. Yeah, I mean, Kittle is awesome. Yeah, the guy's a beast. So yeah, he's gonna eat up a lot of the targets, and that really hurts McKinnon. I mean, they rely on him as a pass catcher, satellite back. He's not a workhorse at all by any means. And like you said, Rick, he's been on your bench for 2 years, so why not cash out right now while his value's really up? And Raheem Mostert and Coleman are going to come back and chip in, so it's going to get really ugly here soon once those guys get healthy.
I didn't even mention that offense just getting healthy in general with Debo, and then Brandon Ayuk's going to get more and more involved. Kittle back, like there's a lot more pieces of the pie now than there were the previous 2 weeks where he played well. He is playing well, and I don't think that's necessarily ever been the problem with McKinnon. He's played well when given the opportunity, but he can't be your guy that gets all the touches. It's not good for his health. It needs a Surgeon General's warning on his jersey that says, "Do not give too many touches, may die." All right. I think we agreed on a lot of guys. We had some good little heated discussions there on a few, but overall, I think we did go on a lot. Now let's get these over quick. We got to keep the answers short. We've been going for an hour and 15 minutes. All right. So first up is Cameron Breit an ad now behind crickety old Gronk?
Absolutely. I mean, Gronk might not even play this week, so why not?
Yes.
He's a great red zone threat.
I'll just say yes. Brady loves his tight end, and Cameron Breit has actually always been good when given an opportunity. So I wouldn't see
very underrated.
I wouldn't see why he
always
wouldn't be
underrated.
And that was from Joz Whedon, one of the heat seekers, the long-term heat seekers that shows up every Tuesday night and probably Wednesday night. Even though we're not the ones on the show on Wednesday night, but thank you, Joz. Through trades, waivers, draft, I have CMC, Antonio Gibson, Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders, and James Robinson. Who should I sell for better wide receivers, and who should I definitely keep? My league has 3 flex spots.
Please do the list one more time. CMC, Gibson, Robinson,
Mixon, and Sanders.
Damn.
So
I would sell Sanders personally if you got to get rid of one, but I mean, I wouldn't want to get rid of any of them, honestly. I mean, those guys are going to put up points and they're going to be valuable to your team. Unless you're really hurting at wide receiver, then try to hold them.
I'm not trading Sanders right now because I think Sanders is in a similar situation as Kenyan Drake. They're not getting the ball down the field, and everything's tightened up for that running game in Philly. And his volume in the passing game is not as high as we've seen it last year. That offense needs to improve. I think Miles Sanders improves, and then if you want to sell him, then that's fine. I think the two obvious ones for me for sells right now are James Robinson and Antonio Gibson. I think
Yeah.
I would definitely rather have CMC, Mixon, and Sanders, but I also don't see a reason that you have to trade any of these guys. If you have 3 flex spots, you're probably able to start 5 running backs, and if you're starting 5 running backs in that league, that's raising your floor of your entire team because running backs the area where you can predict the usage a lot better than you can for wide receivers and tight ends. It does lower your ceiling, but on a week to week basis, it puts you in a chance to win. Now, if you do want to move them, I would move Gibson and Robinson first. Robinson would probably be my priority move first, just because this is a guy that literally came out of nowhere. We don't know if he has staying power yet. He has looked really good, but I'm more confident in the other 4 being valuable to your team for a longer period of time. Anthony.
I'll quickly answer this. I agree about Gibson and Robinson were the 2 ones that I thought see what you can get, sell them kind of high right now, see what you can get. But with that said, I do like having the depth, and let's say someone has like a lot of wide receiver depth. I know he wants to help his wide receivers. If someone's stacked at wide receivers and really needs a running back, this is where you can get kind of sneaky. You can say, hey, I'll give you Sanders, give me Adams. And if you like that and improve a wide receiver and lose one of your running backs that you like a lot, but then get a huge upgrade in that, I would be open to doing that. So I agree with everything you said, Brett.
Yeah, that's why I went with Sanders myself.
I would
because I
do
think
that,
he
but
yields the most value.
I would do that, but I don't think anybody's
also
giving you Devontae Adams for him right now. I just don't think
No. I know, but that's where the debate we had earlier with Jimmy Graham. I think some teams, if they have a dire need, sometimes they'll overpay to fill a spot.
Overpaying for Jimmy Graham is a late 3rd round pick, though. This is a little bit different. You might be able to get that to work, but what if we went the other way? What if we went CMC as your sell? Like you've got 4 other running backs that are getting volume. You could get literally any wide receiver in the league that you wanted with CMC. Plus, you could get more out of him. You could completely like transform your wide receiver core with like think about it right now, right? We are looking at DJ Moore being cheaper than he's ever been. What if you could get DJ Moore and somebody like DeAndre Hopkins for CMC right now? Like these
or
are
Allen Robinson.
or Allen Robinson, who is always just incredibly cheaper than he should be, or
Kenny Galladay.
You could probably get 2 of a lot of those guys for CMC plus a 2nd round pick or something, and you're still going to be good at running back. You're not going to be hurting at running back, and you put yourself in a better position. Now, is the pill harder to swallow to trade CMC away, knowing that he's probably going to average you 25 to 30 points?
Yeah,
but if it makes
that's why I said Sanders.
If it makes the rest of your roster that much better, though, it can definitely be worth it. Without knowing what wide receivers Wyatt's working with, it does make it a little bit tough, right? He might be going, oh, damn, I got DJ Moore and Allen Robinson right now. And then I'm saying keep all your guys because there's better days ahead for you. My league has 20 teams with 20 players each. My starters are Goff, Connor, Gaskin, Cup, Ridley, and Eifert. I have Goddard on the bench for now. For offensive players, any advice? So this is pretty open, open-ended question here for Jeffrey. Goff, Connor, Gaskin, Cup, Ridley, and Eifert. Goddard is really his starter. Just in a vacuum, what's the first move you're going to look to do? It doesn't have to be real in depth, but is there one player there that you're looking to trade? That's 20 teams, so that's not a bad roster to have in a 20 team league. I mean, you got Cup and Ridley and Connor. You could do worse in a 20 team league. And Goddard, yeah, when he's healthy. Yeah. You could do worse in a 20 team league for sure. So, Anthony, what are you going to do?
Man, that's tough. I mean, I don't think I've never played in a 20 team league before, so I'm imagining your options are kind of limited as it is. I guess just looking at this, I don't have a lot of faith in Connor staying healthy. If I try to trade Connor now, I think that might be a good move. Try to get some more depth on the rest of the team. But other than that, I like all the players he has.
Jason.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'd probably look to move Cup. Just I don't like the I like Woods, and I think he sees a lot more volume, but yeah, I like all the players that he has, and that's tough. That's a tough decision to make a move, and it sounds like you got really good depth, honestly. But if you want to cash out and try to get some other pieces, then I'd maybe look to get rid of Cup, and then Connor, just because of his health.
I'm going to assume that you are competing right now just because of Ridley, and in a 20-team league, Ridley with the first 2 weeks that he put up probably has you at minimum at 2-2, right? Like you probably didn't lose with the first 2 weeks that Ridley put up, especially with those. Connor had a good week too, I know that. So you're probably looking at minimum 2-2, Jeffrey. I think that this is a team that could compete. I'm different. Like I'm not. Everybody's worried about Connor's injury history, and the dude had cancer, and really, other than that, like it's been nicks here and there, and other than last year, but I'm not that concerned about the injury history long term, and I'm trying to win that league with 20 teams, and I think you got a roster to do it. I'm not trying to move pieces that could help me win that league. I would try to improve the RB2, but in a 20-team league, that's probably difficult. I don't have any 20-team leagues either, so that's a little tough. Richie Rich says, are we still trusting Darrell Henderson rest of season as the guy? I never was. So that's all I'll say on that one.
No. I don't trust
Cam
it.
Akers is rumored to be back in week 5.
Yep.
Not at all.
Yeah, not... Let's see. Someone wants to trade David Montgomery, Eric Ebron for Keenan Allen and Noah Fant. I declined. Was that the right move? This is from Friendly Fire over on YouTube. Jason.
What was that trade again? I'm sorry.
David Montgomery and Ebron.
For Keenan Allen and Noah Fant.
Ooh. I kind of like that trade. Montgomery has been pretty inconsistent.
No. Okay, they wanted to give him David Montgomery and Eric Ebron for
What side do you like?
Keenan Allen and Noah Fant.
What side
I like the Keenan Allen side, so that's basically all I'm going to say.
Anthony.
Yeah, I agree. I like Keenan Allen and Noah Fant. I think Fant is worth about what Montgomery is worth, and Keenan Allen's way more valuable than Ebron. So,
Keenan Allen's the most valuable piece there. If it's one tight end, Noah Fant's nowhere near David Montgomery. David Montgomery's got the same sort of issues as we've seen with Mixon and Drake over there in Arizona, with just the passing game being horrific. He's actually at the top of the league in yards created. He's up there with elite backs in yards created. The problem is that when you play for Chicago at running back, nobody's afraid of your quarterback. You get hit 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and then all your yards created are to get back to the line of scrimmage. So I do think David Montgomery is better than people are giving him credit for, but when you play in Chicago right now as a running back, you're kind of shit out of luck. But I do take the Keenan Allen and Noah Fant side. I think Noah Fant's way more valuable than Eric Ebron, and Keenan Allen is more valuable than David Montgomery at this time. So I am going with the Keenan
Yeah.
Allen, Noah Fant side. Oh, that's 1 year? Yeah, I'm probably still doing it. Yep. If Cortland Sutton was healthy, I could see you taking the David Montgomery, Eric Ebron sign because Noah Fant would be less valuable in one season. Because that was a redraft question that I didn't know was redraft. Do I pick up Ernest Johnson over Benny Snell?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. I'm surprised that Anthony said yes because he's worried about he's worried about Connor getting hurt, and we've seen Benny Snell be successful in that offense when Connor was out. So you kind of threw me for a loop there, Anthony. And
Well,
he's second thinking of
No, you don't. I mean, you can't bet on injury like that. I mean, I think it's possible, but this year anyone can get hurt.
If you're selling Connor, you're betting on injury, right? Because if
No, not
Connor's
necessarily.
healthy,
No, because
wait, don't interrupt me. If Connor is healthy, he is a very good PPR scoring running back. He has been top 8 when healthy since Le'Veon Bell left. The only thing that keeps Connor from being a top 8 back in the NFL is him being injured now.
Yeah, but you can trade him if you're trading away Connor, assuming you're going to get back another running back and something else. I mean, the odds of the other guy you're getting back are just as high that he's going to get hurt as Connor is going to get hurt.
But your reason for trading Connor was you were afraid he wouldn't stay healthy. You said that when you were trading him.
But you can get a similar running back plus something on top. That was the idea of doing the trade, was to get more pieces in depth.
So get worse at running back, but get another piece that can sit on your bench. Is that what you're saying?
Well, he's starting Tyler Eifert. He could probably get another better tight end.
In a 20-team league,
keep an eye on Anthony McFarland as well.
Ooh, I like some Anthony McFarland. He's going to be good long term, but James Conner, Pittsburgh does not.
Oh yeah, he's there.
Pittsburgh does not use multiple backs, right? If James Conner is healthy, he gets 20+ touches. He gets 90%
he's their
of the work.
horse.
He's the horse, and we know their offense for running back is similar to Kansas City, right? If you love Clyde Edwards-Helaire because he went to the Chiefs, when Connor's healthy, you got to love him as a top 8 back too. Like that's just that offense puts out top 8 backs nonstop. We've seen. Excuse me, an 80-year-old D'Angelo Williams do it when Le'Veon Bell was out, right? Like, that's just, that offense is going to produce gold at running back. We've seen Benny Snell earlier this year. And now we're saying pick up Dernis Johnson over him. Carson for Singletary and Lamb. Absolutely.
Yeah, smash.
I will give you Chris Carson every time if you give me Devin Singletary and CD Lamb. Full
That's
PPR.
A steal.
Yep.
CD Lamb's a beast.
Richie Rich says my Dolphins are trash. That was a while ago when we were talking about the Dolphins.
This is honest.
Should I Revise asks over on YouTube? Should I sell high on Robert Tanyan? I have Higbee.
Man, that's tough. I would say no. It's Tanyan's got 5 touchdowns now on the year. He's scored 3 weeks in a row.
I don't think you can get enough for him to make it worthwhile. Personally, I mean, what could you get for Tanyan? You're not going to get a first-round pick.
Wait a second. I'm so confused. We're getting enough for Jimmy Graham that he's a sell high, but we can't get enough out of Robert Tanyan that he's a sell high.
I mean, I don't think. I mean, if you can get a first-round pick for Robert Tanyan, then yes, I would sell.
Why is Robert Tanyan all of a sudden worth what? I don't know. If it's a one tight end and you can get a late second-round pick for Robert Tanyan, I'm taking it. This is still
absolutely.
I disagree.
Absolutely.
That's a crazy Packer fan.
This is still an offense. We've seen Jared Cook in this offense have huge games and then disappear. The tight end has always been very inconsistent in this Green Bay offense. If these wide receivers get healthy, well, for one, Devontae Adams back automatically hurts Robert Tanyan, big time. Yep. And then if Lazard comes back, that hurts even more. While I do like Tanyan, I do think that for example, you're talking about Higbee on the other side. Higbee had the same sort of stretch late last year. And I said he was a sell. Everybody kept him, and now he had one game where he had 3 touchdowns this year. He's done it, but we're not thinking that Tyler Higbee's more valuable right now than Robert Tanyan. You're not starting them both. If you're starting 2 tight ends in a 1 tight end league, you're not winning very many weeks.
No, I think he's worth. I think right now he's worth more than a late second.
So
and I would not do that.
Starting if Devontae Adams comes back next week? Are you starting Robert Tanyan or Tyler Higbee?
Well, this week I'm starting Tyler Higbee because Tanyan's on bye.
Tanyan has. Okay, in 2 weeks when Tanyan and Higbee are both playing, who are you starting?
I play. Well, I don't depend on the matchup, but probably Tanyan at this point.
You're playing Tanyan over Tyler Higbee, who has a full season of success more than Tanyan. And also has a 3 touchdown game.
Tanyan has more fantasy points than Higbee does already. So I don't think that's fair to say.
Yeah, because he just had one huge game. How much?
He's a monster. He's George Kittle's best friend, bro.
Okay.
It's all opportunity, I think.
Somebody's on the old hype train.
Inconsistent besides the 3 touchdowns.
He's worth more than a late second, guys. Come on.
The thing is you're not starting both of those guys, and I'm starting Higbee over Tanyan. So if I can get a late second round pick for Tanyan because I'm not starting him, then I would do it.
I would trade Higbee for more than sell high on Tanyan.
If people are paying more than second rounders for these second, third tier tight ends, then give me in those leagues.
Who do you think is more valuable, Higbee or Tanyan right now?
Higbee
Probably
is more.
Higbee, right?
Higbee, absolutely.
So why would you sell high on Tanyan when you can just sell Higbee for more?
I'm more confident that Higbee is going to give me continued production than Tanyan has in 2 weeks. 4 of his touchdowns have come with Devontae Adams out.
No, I'd keep both.
You're losing value. If you're starting both of those guys, your team's dead in the water.
You're not starting both.
Okay, so then one of them has 0 value for you at all times. There's 0 reason. It's the same thing with people that have Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson on their 1 QB
no, that's
team.
Not, it's not the same comparison.
No, but it is because one of them is worth 0. One of them is worth 0 because you're not starting them. It's not a good thing to do for your team. You can trade him.
No, I agree. I agree. Having Kelsey and Andrews is bad, but we're talking about Tanyan and Higbee.
Congratulations. Congratulations picking the starter every week and then being wrong every week. So have fun.
Yeah, but this is different. I mean, you got Tanyan for free.
You're never
Higbee cheap.
Yeah, that's why you sell Tanyan right now for late second.
No.
We can argue over this all day. Let's get on. Crowder or Edelman with backup QBs, or Curtis Samuel?
Crowder for sure.
Crowder.
He's seeing the volume, and he put up 100 last week. So.
Yep. Rafa
says, one of my
okay. We're going fast. I don't know who to start for flex. McLaurin or Justin Jefferson? Lamb or Drake? Okay, here's what I'm going to tell you, Mr. Gonzalez. Go over to the start sit question video. Drop that because we need more information before we answer that. Tuesday is not a good day to answer start sits because a lot of stuff can happen, including COVID. Just to say, for the flex right now, I'm starting McLaurin out of that group. Wait, no, I'm starting Lamb. Starting CD Lamb.
Really, over McLaurin?
Yeah, in a standard league. I'm going to take the guy in the offense that actually has upside every time. Okay. Mims and Bell coming back this week. Sure wish Gase was not. True. Let's see.
That's great.
I had DJ Moore. That guy said, remember when we were talking about Wyatt's team, and I said, DJ Moore is the guy you can target? He said, I have DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that your team's looking pretty good. I like where you're at with that team in that 20-team league. Which running back are you selling first, Gordon or Mostert? Quickly, Anthony.
I sell Gordon.
Okay, Gordon. Me too.
Yeah, same.
Yep. Should I trade Mark Andrews and David Johnson for James Robinson? Answer's no.
No. in
No,
redraft, but he says in a dynasty, so no way in hell.
not a chance.
I have Jarwin and Mo Alley.
Redraft, I might.
See, I would
Sorry.
see Mo Alley Cox. I would trade right now. He's a perfect trade because he's not running very many routes. He found the end zone this week, got bailed out. He's definitely a guy I would look to trade because Trey Burton and Doyle are running more routes than he is. Okay, would you trade Lockett for Darrell Henderson and Gaskin full PPR? Absolutely not, Richie Rich.
No.
Keep Lockett. One of the most efficient wide receivers in the history of the NFL. Had a little bit of a down week last week, but him and Wilson have a connection that I will love to benefit from for years to come.
Yep, I agree.
I agree, 100%. Even though I hate the Seahawks.
I love them. I got my DK Metcalf jersey coming.
Boo.
Love it. They are in your division, though.
Yeah.
No Name over there on YouTube says, redraft standard league. I had a trade I couldn't refuse. I traded away Gibson plus Justin Jefferson for DeAndre Hopkins.
Ooh, money.
I think that is a good trade. I think Justin Jefferson
Solid trade.
is a beast, right? I think he is a beast. He's going to be really good. Dude, his route running is just so pure, and it's showing early in his career that he's a big play threat because of the way he can just separate. And he was a couple of those routes he ran, man, he just made them look silly. I was high. I had Rager just a little bit ahead of him. Rager's gonna have to ball out, or else I'm gonna be a little upset that the Minnesota Vikings got that Justin Jefferson kid. But yeah, I definitely like that trade for you in redraft.
Yeah, I especially like
Ooh.
2-for-1 trades like that because you also gain a roster spot, and those are so undervalued. So that's a good move.
I will say that it's a standard league, and right now, DeAndre Hopkins is getting most of his points are on receptions.
Yeah, but it's okay.
So that stings a little bit.
Yeah,
It
it's
does
still a
sting
good
little
trade.
bit.
And he gets the extra roster spot. It's so overlooked in these leagues. So I'm good with it, even in the standard league.
I mean, I'm
good with it.
doing it, but I'm saying that, we talked about Arizona a lot today, right? And what they need to do as an offense. If they do that and they start getting the ball down the field more, this is a smash win. If it keeps being DeAndre Hopkins for 7 catches for 55 yards and you're only getting 5.5 points a week, then it's an issue. But
But
that's
he'll score too, and Gibson's not very valuable in a standard league either. I mean, that's important too. So Gibson in a standard league that's 4 points. Justin Jefferson, I mean, you got to go with Hopkins for sure. So
wait a second.
no, it's a
because you know me, I was not on this Antonio Gibson hype train. But
He's getting a lot more work.
Yeah, but he's not really rushing the ball a lot.
Yeah, but the thing is,
standard league.
but he also he's getting 50 yards rushing a week plus 30 yards receiving. He's getting more yards than DeAndre Hopkins. Other than DeAndre Hopkins week 1, obviously, but I mean, I'm disgusted that DeAndre Hopkins his average this week was less than some running backs had. Rushing.
Yeah, but that's why you shouldn't play in standard leagues.
No,
I mean, come on, it's 2020.
Even in PPR, you should
Get with
not,
the times.
in PPR, you should not be happy about. Look at this. He averaged. Where's it at? I got it up here. 1 second.
5.9 per catch.
5.9 per catch. There's running backs that had
it was
carries
bad.
and averaged
Yeah, it was
6
bad.
yards.
Yeah, I saw that stat line. I was like, ooh, that's nasty. It looks like a
that's
tight
rough.
end stat.
Wyatt, we appreciate it. Chris L. Okay, this. He does have DeAndre Hopkins, Ridley, Shark, Slayton, Judy, and then Taylor, Sanders, Kelly, Harris, and Lindsey at running back on that team that just got DeAndre Hopkins. Jaz says, did you guys answer between Snell and Ernest Johnson? I think we all said Ernest Johnson.
We did. Yep. Yeah, go get the Ernest.
I just lost Chubb, so I'm kind of weak at running back. I was offered DJ Moore and David Montgomery for Allen Robinson in a .5 PPR. Should I pull the trigger? My running backs now are Cook, Malcolm Brown, Akers, and Moss. I'm pulling the trigger. I love Allen Robinson. His value is a little bit less in a .5 PPR because he is a volume receiver. He is a beast. At least he gets further than 5.9 yards down the field on his catches. Sorry, I love DeAndre Hopkins. I'm so pissed that that's how they're using him. Like, it's so
It's gonna
horizontal.
change.
It's so it has to. Um,
Yep.
but DJ Moore is the guy that's undervalued right now. Robbie Anderson looks like the number one receiver on this Panthers team 4 weeks in. And DJ Moore is actually the guy that's getting further down the field. And Robbie Anderson's actually, I think his ADOT's right around 9 and Moore's around 13. I do think there's better days ahead for DJ Moore, though. He's just too talented. And I love Allen Robinson, but Montgomery in a .5 PPR is more valuable than he's going to be in a full PPR, and he's still getting the work. Hopefully Foles can get going after getting a start under his belt and open up the field a little bit more for that running game as well. So I'm making that trade. Are you guys making that trade?
Yeah, for sure. I would.
Yeah, Chris, you got to smash that. Accept that, like right now.
Yep, good deal for you, Chris. Person in my league. Oh, Wyatt says you guys are awesome.
Thank you, Wyatt.
We appreciate it, Wyatt.
Oh,
We love having you
Wyatt,
around. Make
you're
sure to
awesome,
hit that.
Wyatt.
Yeah, Wyatt, Anthony
You're
said
awesome.
it. You're awesome. But only if you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you know when we go live every time. Tomorrow night is the
And in the
redraft
chat,
stream.
in the chat, say I'm right. Say, yeah, I agree with Anthony.
Don't ever agree with Anthony if you want to win fantasy football. We just have him here because we feel bad for him because he has no friends. And he's from California, and there's like fires and rolling blackouts and stuff all the time. So we want to give him something to do.
Check out my 96er, man. Go check it out.
Yeah, look, if you guys want to know if no running back method works, zero running back, you should look at my 96er. Because right now I'm starting Mike Davis and David Montgomery, and I'm leading my division in scoring, and I'm 3-1 in first place, and I won my division last year with David Montgomery and Ronald Jones. My wide receivers are filthy, though. A person in my league lost both of his starting quarterbacks, and he panicked, so I traded him Fitz for Cooper Kupp. How good of a trade is that?
Oh,
That's
Very,
awesome.
very good because we had
It's highway robbery.
It's a very good trade because we had to get notified today that Ryan Fitzpatrick was actually the Week 5 starter. So, good trade, Lima FN. Very good trade.
And you say you can't trade Jimmy Graham high. Look at that. Come on now.
Dude.
Come on.
Come
on, dude. You traded
Okay,
Fitz
I will say that all the Dynasty leagues that I'm in, the owners are people that go to rotoheat.com, go to other websites, great websites like, Dynasty League Football, DLF, Dynasty Happy Hour, Fantasy Pros, all these other great Dynasty places where you can get Dynasty information. They're not giving me any of that. I would like to get in some of those leagues, though. If you got any invites for leagues with bad owners that don't pay attention, that would.
You gotta do your research.
Like to make bad
I
trades.
just got a notification a little while ago. Yahoo says, when people get dropped. I just got a notification. Trent Taylor got dropped from one of our redraft teams. Trent Taylor, like who's keeping Trent Taylor all the way to week 5?
Well, to be fair, the 49ers did have everybody dead, so you never know, right? Here's what I want to tell everybody, though. For those that don't know, there is now a RotoHeat app on the Google Play App Store. So you can go on there, you can download RotoHeat, you can get notified when new articles come out, and have it right there on your home screen on your Android devices. Working on Apple. Apple's a lot harder. They're a bigger pain in my ass. But this is just the first version. It's going to get better. We are going to be looking at a lot more options, especially in the off season. So make sure you get over to Google Play Store, download the RotoHeat Fantasy Football, Fantasy Advice Football, whatever words I'm trying to say, app out of the App Store. We thank everybody for showing up. Again, hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Helps us out a ton. Hit like on this video. Check out the other player profiles we put out, the player outlooks. Every Tuesday at 9:30, the Dynasty Heat Seekers are here. On Wednesday, it's the Fantasy Inferno, which is a redraft podcast and live stream. And then Sundays at 10 a.m., Bryce Frazier and I go live with the tailgate, where we talk start sits. You know, for those of you asking start sits on Tuesday, like, I'm never comfortable answering those. I haven't dug into matchups and everything yet. I haven't dug into snap counts and routes ran and everything like that. By Sunday morning, I'm ready to answer those questions, and that's all we do on Sunday morning is just answer questions and talk about different points. So 10 a.m. Eastern time for all of our shows. We got Amar. We have a video up right now for start sit questions. If you put them on there, the entire team, we have like 20 guys that vote on these, and then we put them out in a video on Friday.
It's Deontay Johnson, though. I'm just
No,
saying.
it's not. Hollywood is getting ready to explode.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely. We can sit here and argue over this all you want. Deontay Johnson is nowhere close to Hollywood Brown in talent. He doesn't have as I will take Hollywood over Deontay Johnson every week. And he can actually win you a week. Deontay Johnson can't.
Oh,
Deontay Johnson
whoa.
is not putting up 40 points ever. You didn't have an argument for that.
We'll talk about this later. No, I disagree.
Would Kyler be worth more in fantasy if he was taller? I don't know if taller would be better. I just know that throwing it further than 5 yards down the field would be amazing right now. That's all I know, because that opens it up for everybody else. But okay, guys, we're going to call that a night. I appreciate everybody being here. Comment, like, search on Facebook for Roto Heat. Join all the different groups. We always have stuff going on. We're talking all the time, and we love helping everybody out any way that we can. So do that, and we will be back next Tuesday with the Dynasty Heat Seekers. Don't forget, make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any more fantasy football content from the RotoHeat.com team. Also, right there, playlist. Hit it. Watch the videos. Do it.